How many of you got this notice within the last week or two and thought, oh my goodness, what's going on now? Panic. Let me assure you, there is nothing to panic about. There is nothing to worry about. I'm just getting warmed up here. Come on. My name is John Rodrigue, and I'm with the Lofton firm. We're a law firm that specializes in mobile home parks, real estate, land use, and finance. We have been asked by the park owner to come out this evening and talk to you all and see if you are interested in owning your park. And I say it that way because, and let me go back to my first question, and that is, how many of you got this notice and said, oh my goodness, panic, panic, panic? How many of you thought that something's going on and I'm not going to get to participate in that process? Something is going to happen beyond my control. Something is going to happen and I'm not going to get a vote. Something is going to change without my input. Let me assure you that none of that is going to happen, which is why I'm here this evening. I am here this evening to talk to you about an option for the park. Then to gauge your interest, see if it's something that there is an interest level within the park, and if so, then maybe we'll spend some more time looking into it and trying to put together an opportunity where you all could buy the park. If not, that's a perfectly acceptable answer, and that would be okay. Life would probably continue as is. So, nobody needs to panic. Nobody needs to worry. Let me get back to a little bit about what we do. Like I mentioned, my name is John Rodrigue with the Lofton firm, and a lot of what we do involves representing resident groups such as yourselves, or park owners who, for one reason or another, decide that we want to take what is currently a rental park, and I always hate that term. I hate referring to you as a group as tenants, because you really aren't. You're homeowners, right? You are homeowners. It just so happens that your home is on somebody else's land. And so the process that we're talking about, taking what's a rental park and turning it into a resident-owned park, is a way of transferring land ownership from currently a park owner and putting it all in your hands. And that's what we want to talk about this evening. A lot of you have probably heard about conversions and what that means, and I suspect that a lot of you have probably heard a lot of things that, I'll be perfectly honest, are not true, because unfortunately in this area, like many others, rumors and myths sometimes take hold and they're very hard to dispel, but that's one of the reasons why I'm here this evening. A couple different types of ways to go from what you have today, and that is a rental park, and move to a situation where you all own your park. Some of those ways of doing it are expensive. Some of those ways are not so expensive. Some of the ways of doing that can be crafted in a way where you all can take advantage of special financing that's available and special grant money that's available from the state of California, from the federal government, and a lot of other sources that maintain affordability within your park. What's happened traditionally to rents over time? Do they ever go down?
No.
I wish they did, but they don't. What do you think would happen if you guys bought the park and you owned it yourselves? Would you ever raise rent on yourselves? No, you wouldn't. And one of the reasons why is because you would control your own costs. You would control your own costs and expense, and because of that, once you buy your park and you're able to budget for those expenses, and you're able to get a loan through, in this case, the federal government, and some grant money through the state of California, you would be able to determine what those assessment levels would be, because instead of what you're paying right now in the form of rents would become assessments once you would all own the park. They would be very predictable going into the future. In other words, you would have assurances that over time, rents would not increase historically like they have, but instead you'd be able to come up with a rent level which would work over time. Number two, someone might say, okay, that sounds nice, but doesn't that mean that I'm going to have to write a big check on the front end to be able to buy the land? And the answer is no, because that wouldn't really work for you all, and we know that. As a limited equity housing cooperative, and as a tax-exempt entity, because you're serving a very important function within the community, which is to maintain affordable housing within the community, you have access to special financing through the federal government. That special financing would be one loan that your housing cooperative gets. So no one is individually taking out a mortgage. Instead, your housing cooperative has one loan which we would put together for you all. And then number two, that also means that you have access to special grant money and special loan money from the state of California. And under those programs, the interest rates are far lower than what they are right now that, for example, the current park owner is paying. And because of that, what that means is that we're able to maintain a rent level after you own the park, which is about what you're paying right now. So those are the two fundamental propositions. Now, by purchasing your park, you cut out the middleman. You cut out the middleman who owns investment real estate for the point of earning a return, for making a gain. That's one important benefit. One of the other important benefits is that as an ownership park, you actually have more control over your park. Because, let me take a step back and explain how this housing cooperative would work. If, and I say if there was a high enough interest level within the park, then what we would do is we would spend some time at our expense, and actually not my expense, but my client's expense, going out and trying to get all the approvals we would need, getting that tax-exempt qualification from the IRS, forming that nonprofit corporation, and at the end of the day, we'd have this limited equity housing cooperative, and we would come back to all of you and say, is it something you're interested in? And we'd be able to tell you what it would cost to participate. Oftentimes that initial share price is $500, $1,000, maybe $1,500. And then you would know what your rent is on a go-forward basis, which again is probably going to be very close to what you're paying right now in rents. From there, we would ask folks, is this something you're interested in? And if you are, you would all, or anyone who wanted to participate, would become a member of that limited equity housing cooperative. If you weren't interested in, that's also okay. And if you're not interested in participating, perfectly okay, and life would go on for you just as it is today. You would continue to rent within the park just as you do today, except that your new landlord, instead of the current park owner, would be the housing cooperative, the folks who do decide to participate.